Hey guys, what's cracking? This Krakenation here. I'm coming at you guys today for the next installment of the competitive Pokemon Master Guide, where today we're going to be talking about Dragapult. Thanks you guys for all the support we're getting on this series already, and we're going to hopefully keep sending out these videos so you guys can continue to grow your competitive Pokemon knowledge base, both in terms of using these Pokemon and playing against these Pokemon. So let's go ahead and take a look at Dragapult here. So first up, we got Dragapult, the Dragon Ghost type, abilities. Nothing great actually. Clear Body, Infiltrator, Curse Body. None of these are particularly useful. Infiltrator is probably overall the best, and the other two is kind of niche. I guess Clear Body helps prevent like Intimidate drops, and Curse Body is like randomly hacksily useful, but overall nothing crucial. Yeah, that's kind of just the rundown. But the interesting typing for sure, Dragon Ghost, pretty powerful, interesting stabs. Although, unfortunately, it does not get great stabs, and we'll talk more about that later. But looking at the stat breakdown, we've got 88 HP, 75 defense, 75 speed depth, which leaves us as a pretty fragile glass cannon type Pokemon. It's got a insane 142 speed stat, so the only thing that outspeeds this in the meta right now is obviously good Scarfers and then Zeraora. So it is right near the tippy top of the speed game in the competitive meta game, and then 120 attack, 100 special attack is pretty good mixed offenses. This thing is not a wall breaker by any stretch of the imagination, but it is pretty fast and can serve as a very good cleaner thanks to those mixed stats. It also has usable coverage on the special side at the very least, so you're going to have some options there and you can do what you need to do. Looking at some strengths and weaknesses, the first one we have is that unique typing with interesting resistances to things like normal type attacks, water, electric, fire type attacks. Some useful resistances, definitely. Fighting type attacks. Now you have to be aware that if you switch into a fighting type, a lot of fighting types get knockoff, but keep that in mind. It's got blazing speed with some useful coverage moves like we talked about. It's got things like Firebolt, Fire Blast, Flamethrower, Thunderbolt, I think. And then versatile mixed offenses like I talked about with some setup potential. So it's got things like Dragon Dance, which is nice. Good utility options as well. It's got some utility options in its move pool. That's including things like U-Turn or Will-O-Wisp. It also has so it can make use of that with like Hex, which is pretty nice. You can run like Sub, pretty good stuff. And finally, its versatility makes it pretty kind of difficult to predict. When you see a Dragapult in a matchup, you're gonna have a hard time predicting what it's running because it does have a few different viable sets. It could be just starting at a baseline that it could be physical or it could be a special attacker. They're gonna have a hard time predicting right off the cuff what kind of Dragapult you're dealing with. It could be Scarf, it could be Specs. It could be a Dragon Dance variant. It could be a sub taunt disable type set. It could be like a more like special wall breaker or not wall breaker but like a special attacker. It's just gonna be tough for you to predict exactly what you're dealing with until you start seeing it click attacks. Now, speaking about some cons, the biggest one is honestly that it has no reliable physical ghost move. Its only go-to ghost move that's physical is Phantom Force, which is not a very good one because if your opponent has a normal type, they're going to switch that in every single time you click that move, and you are going to feel very, very bad about it. It's also just easy to play around. They can switch in resistances like a good dark type all day long, so you're gonna have to be careful about that. It's very poor bulk, leaves it vulnerable to even neutral attacks. So if you're getting hit by like just a powerful neutral attack, like let's say, I don't know, a lot of things are either resisted or hit super effective on this Pokemon, but if you're just getting hit by like a powerful neutral attack, maybe like a rock move or something, a lot of those will leave you at least very crippled, if not outright dead. It's got niche abilities that are rarely impactful. Like I said, Infiltrator is usually going to be your ability of choice, but overall you're rarely going to find much use out of your abilities. And it lacks some power to use its superior special coverage. If this thing's stats were swapped, I feel like it would be a much better Pokemon where it's 120 was in its special attack, just because its special coverage is a lot more usable. It's got things like Dragon Pulse, Draco Meteor, Shadow Ball, but then Fire Blast, Thunderbolt, so it's got usable special moves, and you're just unfortunately not able to use them quite as efficiently as if these stats were reversed. So that's kind of unfortunate, but it is what it is. It's still a good Pokemon, obviously. So the first set I want to talk to you guys today is the special attacking set, and the item for that set is going to be Choice Specs. You could also run Life Orb. I think both have some viability depending on what your team needs. If you just need a little bit more breaking power, Specs might be the way to go. Spec Shadow Ball can 2-hit KO things like Clefable when they switch in, and Clefable is a very common answer to your Dragapult. If you go Life Orb, though, you have the ability to U-turn out or switch moves. So something like a specially defensive Corviknight comes in and you click Shadow Ball, you can switch to Fire Blast, which is very nice. U-turn is a really good option on your special attacking Dragapult as well, just because even if you're Specs, you can click U-turn on a predictive switch in if you want to ease the prediction game, and that could be potentially really helpful for grabbing some momentum. But overall, I think most of these moves are pretty staple. Fire Blast is going to be good for things like Corviknight and Ferrothorn out there. Really destroy those quite efficiently. And then Draco Meteor, It's pretty helpful. Now keep in mind, if you're running like opposing Komodo, you're actually not going to be able to hit that with Shadow Ball because it's usually running bulletproof, so you're going to need to run Draco Meteor to hit those Komodos. Draco Meteor being a really, really good go-to just break and kill something move. Next that I want to talk about is a little more out there, a little less known, but it's the sub-disable set, and it saw a lot of play earlier in the metagame in Sword and Shield, but it's getting a little less love now. It is a cool set, not fantastic, but I definitely wanted to give it a holler and at least make sure you guys were aware that you might see this set around, or you might be on a build with this set. You're gonna run Leftovers and Cursed Body. That way you have a chance to Cursed Body move, I guess. But you're gonna run Leftovers and you're gonna run some HP with some speed. I think is the way that you would want to run it. You may want to run Special Attack investment instead. You definitely want to run speed and special attack. Then speed? I should say you definitely want to run speed. Special attack is a choice you have, and then I ran HP here, but that's up to you. And the moves you're gonna run are Will-O-Wisp, Sub, Hex, and Disable. So you can burn your opponent and click powerful hexes on them, and then you can sub and disable up. And kind of like if let's say you're playing a Clefable where its only attacking move is Moonblast, right? And you sub up on the Moonblast and you click disable, all of a sudden Clefable can't do anything, and you have a chance to fire off a free Will-O-Wisp or a free Hex. So that can be pretty useful if a Pokemon only has maybe one move to hit you super effectively. Maybe they only have one move that breaks your sub. Maybe it's like a Pokemon that has like Clefable might only have Moonblast and Flamethrower, and then they're going to be in a tough spot when they have to click Flamethrower to break your sub because you disabled Moonblast. Now keep in mind, there's some counterplay here where your opponent can force you to disable something like their Flamethrower instead. So you got to be aware of that, but I think for the most part, people will usually fall into this trap, so it's kind of a cool trap set. And the final set I want to talk about is probably the set that I think most people were most hyped by on launch day, not realizing how kind of mediocre this set would probably be. That's going to be the Dragon Dance Life Orb set, Life Orb Dragon Dance set. You could run a different item instead of Life Orb. You could run maybe like a plate of some kind, or you could run like Leftovers. I don't know, but I would probably go Life Orb to maximize your power output. Jolly or Adamant, you probably have to go Jolly in today's metagame, although Adamant's definitely an option if you get up to +1. And you're just going to run pretty standard EVs for a physically sweeping Pokemon. Then we're going to obviously go Dragon Dance, and this is a set that makes use of its signature move in Dragon Darts, which is obviously an insane move. 100 base power, double hitting Dragon move is really, really powerful at +1 especially. So it's an insanely good move. It's just unfortunate that this set gets kind of slept on because its lack of a good physical ghost move, because you have to run Phantom Force to hit things on the physical side, which is going to be kind of unfortunate. And it's going to put you in a tough spot. And then for the final spot, we've got a few options actually, even some I didn't write down here. Fire Blast is an option to hit the Ferrothorns and the Corviknights of the world. It'll still be pretty hard even if you're not invested. You might choose to run a Naive or a Hasty Nature actually if you do choose to run Fire Blast, just because you don't want to drop that special attack set, but it could help you with a Ferrothorn that might be standing in your way otherwise. Psychic Fang could be helpful to break through something like a Toxapex. Another option I wanted to throw out there. The last option I wanted to put out there was Steel Wing. Steel Wing I know is a weird move to run on competitive Pokemon, but if you run it, it could be your niche to kill a weakened Clefable. Let's say Clefable's at like 60%, and you've got the Life Orb going on with that +1. You could click that Steel Wing, and if the Clefable's already weakened, it won't stand in the way of your sleep any longer. So I think it's a little bit up to your team composition. If you feel like you don't struggle with Ferrothorns out there, maybe you don't run Fire Blast. If your team feels a little weak to Toxapex, maybe you need Psychic Fangs. If you're totally fine and you just want your Dragapult to be able to beat Clefable, Steel Wing probably might even be the move of choice in that situation. That's up to you. Keep in mind Phantom Force might be able to do a lot to Clefable as well, but Steel Wing would be your best choice as far as hitting it as hard as you could, as quick as you could. So looking into some team options and counters when you're using Dragapult, I want you guys to remember that you're going to have to bring some defensive pivots that can bring Dragapult in for free. Something like Corviknight or Teleport Clefable is really, really good right now because Corviknight, for example, can come in on the Clefables that Dragapult fears, if they're not running Flamethrower especially, and then kind of threaten them or at least wall them. And these slow pivots can bring in a really fragile attacker like Dragapult in for free, and really be beneficial to it. Pokemon that can take on powerful Dark and Fairy types are really helpful, so something like Cinderace could be a good partner where you can click Pyro Ball, obviously on this Pokemon like Bisharp and stuff, but you can also click High Jump Kick on the Dark types as well. It beats Fairies pretty effectively, so that could be a useful partner for this. Keep in mind you'd be weak to something like Seismitoad in that situation, but just keep that in mind. You might be able to whittle it down well enough. Powerful wall breakers like Hydreigon or Conkeldurr could really appreciate the powerful cleaning that something like Dragapult can offer. So if you ran like a nasty plot Hydreigon with like Flash Cannon, Draco, Dark Pulse, and then that could potentially lure bait in a Clefable, kill Clefable, and then your Dragapult has a chance to clean up the weakened team from there. Could be really, really powerful. So if I love the team composition of like a Dark Pulsing, sorry, a Nasty Plot Hydreigon, and a Choice Specs Dragapult clicking Shadow Ball. I think that could be a really, really effective combination here. Even though it's double dragons, Dragon Slam is pretty good, especially when your dragon learns Flash Cannon. So keep that in mind. Powerful. So other like Conkeldurrs, other options, just in general, when you have a really good cleaner like a Dragapult, you want to pair it with like good wall breakers that can whittle down opposing defensive Pokemon. So bulky fairy types are one of the biggest answers to Dragapult. So things like Clefable really come to mind as your go-to. Hatterene, not as much of an issue because it's a psychic type, but bulky fairies like Clefable especially are the biggest problem. I'd say overall for Dragapult, you know, they can eat a hit. Now keep in mind, if you are Choice Specs, Clefable can't really switch in unless it's specially defensive. So just keep that in mind. It does have a chance, but that'll be overall your biggest problem. Generally just bulky Pokemon in general, Dragapult isn't that powerful, which is why I said earlier you need to pair it with wall breaking probably, because it's just not that powerful straight up. Even with a spec, something like a bulky specially defensive Tox Specs can probably just shrug off most of your attacks and heal up and kind of set up spikes in the case of Tox Specs or something. So you're just gonna have to be careful about that. You know, it's just not that powerful of a Pokemon as far as pure offense, and it's more of a niche cleaner type deal, so just gotta build around that. And finally, powerful Scarfers that can strong neutral attacks like Terrakion or Kyurem are going to be really big issues. Obviously, Kyurem can click Ice Beam and it's a good Scarfer, so if you're not running a fast Dragapult, it'll just check you every single time. Even Terrakion with like something like a powerful Stone Edge could be a really big problem for your Dragapult, because Stone Edge will probably do a really, really immense amount of damage to you, maybe even KO you if you're already chipped a little bit. So you need to be careful about moves like that, where the Pokemon are good Scarfers and they're able to click neutral attacks. So I think, like, for example, a really good partner in that situation would be something like a Conkeldurr, which can come in on the Stone Edge and threaten out Terrakion could be an option, and then also doubles as a wall breaker to help Dragapult out. Food for thought, you know, these are just Pokemon that I'm kind of spitballing. You can definitely find your own matches, mix and matches you see fit, and I'm sure you'll find some effective combo eventually. Dragapult is kind of splashable, so it's a pretty good Pokemon on a wide variety of teams, especially when it's as versatile as it is. So you can make space for it and just support it effectively. Alright guys, well I hope you guys enjoyed this video and you're excited to use Dragapult and go out and try it, and maybe you learn something, maybe you've already tried it, but either way I hope you found this video helpful, and until next time I will see you guys later. Krakenation out.